Ever wonder about the actual machines humming away behind the scenes of our digital world? I mean, the specialized gear and those huge data centers that makes everything just work. Well, today we're diving deep into a really key part of that. Blade servers. Welcome to the deep dive. We've got this comprehensive forecast here from Cognitive Market Research. It's called the Global Blade Server Market Growth Forecast 2021-2033. Our mission is basically to pull out the key numbers, understand the growth, maybe find some surprises, and figure out what it all means. Why should you care about blade
Right.
service?
And you definitely should care if you're interested in, well, the future of IT infrastructure. Blade servers are.
Hmm.
They're essentially super efficient computing units. Think slim, powerful computers packed together that share power, cooling, all that stuff in one chassis.
Hmm.
It lets companies cram a lot of computing power into less space. Really efficient, really scalable.
Hmm.
So yeah, they're vital for data centers, virtualization, handling big data. Tracking their market tells you a lot about where enterprise IT is going.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Starting big picture. What does this Cognitive Market Research report tell us about the global market? Like baseline and forecast.
Okay, globally. In 2021, the market pulled in about $12,764.4 million USD. That's the starting point. It's projected to climb pretty steadily, hitting roughly $17,873 million by 2025. And then the forecast shows it really taking off, reaching 35,042.1 million USD by 2033.
Wow, okay. That's a massive jump. More than double, nearly triple the 2021 number by 2033. What's the compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, for that global picture? What does that specific number tell us?
The global CAGR is pegged at 8.78%, which is, quite healthy. What it really signals is this broad, accelerating shift towards blade tech.
Yeah.
That 8.78% means the market's basically set to almost triple in size over that 12-year period. It just underlines how much our digital world is evolving and needing this kind of dense, efficient power.
All right, let's zoom in a bit. North America, major tech hub, obviously. What's the blade server story there? Anything surprising?
North America is definitely a huge piece of the pie. In 2021, sales were around $5,893 million USD. That's forecast to grow to about $12,807.9 million by 2033. The CAGR there is a solid 8.006%. Still very strong growth.
And breaking that down, the U.S. must be the giant share, I assume.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The U.S. started at roughly $3,748 million in 2021, heading towards $9,080 million by 2033. That's a 7.668% CAGR. Canada's next, starting at about $886 million, expected to hit almost $2.4 billion by 2033. That's an 8.528% CAGR. Slightly faster growth in the U.S., interestingly.
But hang on, you mentioned Mexico earlier is interesting. What are those numbers? Because that growth rate looked quite high.
That's right, it did. Mexico started smaller, around $458 million in 2021, but it's projected to reach over $1.35 billion by 2033, and the CAGR there is 9.495%.
Almost 9.5%. That's noticeably higher than the U.S. or Canada.
Exactly. It points to, well, likely a faster pace of digital transformation or maybe infrastructure build-out happening there. Could be cloud adoption, tech investments, or maybe even things like nearshoring boosting demand for local computing power. It suggests Mexico's IT landscape is really maturing quickly.
Fascinating. Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe. How does it stack up? Similar patterns, big players, and maybe some faster growers.
Europe's another major market for sure. It was about $3,382 million back in 2021. And it's forecast to grow to nearly $9 billion, $8,900.69 million by 2033. That's an 8.411% CAGR. So pretty comparable growth rate to North America overall.
And within Europe, who are the leaders? Germany, UK, France, I guess?
You got it. Germany leads the pack, starting around $652 million, projected to hit $1.6 billion. UK and France are next, both starting in the mid-$500 million and projected to reach around $1.3 billion each. Their KGRs are in the 7% range, Germany at 7.75%, UK 7.37%, France 7.7%. Steady growth in the core economies.
Okay, but where's the really dynamic growth happening in Europe? Any standouts like Mexico and North America?
Definitely. If you look at the KGRs, Spain is showing really strong growth at 9.978%. It's going from about $236 million to over $738 million. Then you've got Denmark, even higher at 10.263% CUGR. Starting smaller, around $196 million, but growing to over $631 million. And Switzerland, too, its key AGR is actually the highest in Europe, shown here, at 10.416%, growing from $121 million to over $391 million.
Wow, over 10% growth in Denmark and Switzerland.
Yeah, it suggests some really focused investment or maybe specific industries driving demand in those countries. You also see strong growth in places like Italy, 8.14%, Russia, 8.78%, Sweden, 8.26%. Even the rest of Europe category is growing at 9.4%. It's quite diverse.
Okay, now The big one, Asia Pacific. The report flags this as the fastest growing region. What kind of numbers are we seeing there? This must be where the action really is.
It absolutely is. Asia Pacific is the standout for growth. It started at $2,655 million USD in 2021, and it's projected to explode, relatively speaking, to $8,655.39 million USD by 2033. That gives it a regional TGR of 10.366%, clearly the highest overall growth rate globally. It's driven by, well, everything, rapid digitalization, cloud adoption, huge populations coming online.
Incredible. And which countries are powering that? China and India must be huge factors.
Exactly. China is the largest market in APAC by value. Started at nearly $900 million, 897.39 ounce in 2021, forecast to hit over $3.1 billion by 2033. That's a powerful 10.953% CAGR. But India's growth rate is just phenomenal. It started at about $326 million in 2021. It's projected to reach $1,220 million by 2033. The CAGR there is 11.599%.
Almost 12%. That's the highest single country growth rate we've discussed, right?
It is. It's the highest in the entire forecast data provided. It really speaks volumes about the scale of digital expansion happening in India, IT services, cloud infrastructure, the whole digital economy booming.
Amazing. What about other key players in APAC, Japan, South
Right.
Korea?
Yeah, Japan is significant too, about $546 million in 2021, growing to over $1.5 billion by 2033, with a solid 9.045% CAGR. South Korea also shows strong growth, around 9.66% CAGR. Australia's up there too, 9.46%. Singapore at 9.27%. And then you have regions like Southeast Asia collectively showing a very high CAGR of 10.495% and Taiwan at 9.45%. The whole region is just buzzing with activity.
Right, really paints a picture. Okay, let's quickly cover the remaining regions to get the full global view. South America, Middle East, and Africa. What are the key takeaways there?
Okay, South America. It started at about $676 million in 2021, projected to reach nearly $2 billion, 1.96p by 2033. The CAGR is quite strong at 9.276%. Brazil's the main engine there. It's forecast to grow at nearly 10%, 9.973% CAGR, starting from $263 million and hitting $830 million. Significant growth.
Okay, and the Middle East.
Middle East was around $561 million in 2021, expected to grow to nearly $1.7 billion, 1.68b by 2033. That's a 9.36% CAGR. An interesting one there is Qatar. Smaller market starting at $27 million, but projected to hit nearly $98 million with a very high CAGR of 10.863%. Yeah. Suggests maybe some major projects or investments driving that.
And finally, Africa.
Africa started the smallest, around $395 million in 2021, and it's projected to grow to just over $1 billion, 1.03b by 2033. The AGR here is 7.68%. That's the lowest regional KGR globally, but still represents significant growth in absolute terms for the region.
Right, still growing, just maybe not the same breakneck pace as APAC.
Exactly. Key players there are Nigeria, showing about 8% CAGR, and South Africa, around 7%. Still important developing markets for this tech.
Okay, so we've crunched a lot of numbers here, region by region, country by country. If you had to synthesize this, what's the big takeaway? What does this flood of data really tell us?
I think the clearest message is just how universal and robust the demand for this kind of efficient, high-density computing is. The global market nearly tripling by 2033. That's huge. It's not just a tech trend. It's reflecting a fundamental shift in how businesses everywhere operate and manage data. Blade servers are clearly seen as a key part of the solution. You see the established markets like North America and Europe still growing strongly. You see the explosive growth in Asia Pacific, led by China and especially India. And then you see significant growth pockets emerging everywhere else. Mexico, Spain, Denmark, Brazil, Qatar. It all points to this relentless drive for digitalization and the infrastructure needed to support it.
It really connects the dots between these specific hardware sales figures and the bigger picture of global digital transformation.
Precisely. The numbers confirm the trend. More data, more cloud, more complex workloads demand smarter, denser hardware solutions.
This has been really insightful. Taking this deep dive into just one piece of hardware, the Blade server, really does illuminate these broader global shifts in tech adoption.
It does. And looking at this data, seeing this consistent, strong demand across the board, it definitely makes you think, what comes next? As we keep pushing the boundaries of computing, needing even more power in even smaller spaces, what new server innovations are waiting in the wings? How will they change these forecasts in another decade?
That's the perfect question to leave us with. What's the next evolution? Something to definitely keep an eye on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.